Right, so we've got some more people. We've got a question on can I still be a Christian even though I have doubts? So we thought we'd bring Phoebe in, and then she wants to have Charlotte as well. So why not? So, does anyone have any kind of ideas on can I still be a Christian even though I have doubts?
Well, I have an analogy.
Mm-hmm.
So I first of all talk about the relationship that humans have with rules, and by nature we are they restrict our freedom, and so it's really difficult for us to follow. And so if you apply that to the Bible, there are lots of rules and beliefs and teachings in the Bible that sometimes we doubt or we question, and so that we're curious about them because they might not fit with beliefs that are culturally appropriate and stuff. So I've got two little scenarios. So the first one is so when you're born, in a family, no doubt when you're growing up, your mum and your dad would have set out rules for you, and you would have respected them and you would have followed them because you trust that they know what's best for you. So you follow them, and don't question them until you get to a certain age. And then if you think about when you're born, those rules aren't your parents don't just recite those rules to you as soon as you're born before they start hugging you, and they say that they will completely commit their lives to loving you and love you unconditionally, and there's nothing you could ever do that would stop them from loving you. And so it's okay to question the rules as you get older because they're not going to stop loving you, right? That's scenario one. And that's the family model. And then the second one is so in a job, in a work environment, the first thing you'll do is you will sign to a contract which will say that you're going to promise to follow these rules, and if you break them you'll be fired, you'll be left abandoned, you will not be part of the job anymore. And regardless of the relationships that you may have built in that workplace, the rules come first. So there are two scenarios. One where the love comes before the rules, and then the second where the rules come before the love. And God, I think we can all kind of agree, would fall into the first category, where the love comes before the rules. And if I put a Bible thing to it to kind of make it easier to understand, so in the Ten Commandments, when the story of Ten Commandments, when God gave his rules to Moses, before doing that, they led all the people out of Egypt.
Yes.
I was going to say Israel. They led them all out of Egypt, and he saved them all. And so before he gave Moses the rules, he showed them love. And so that's an example where God will always put his love before his rules. And that doesn't mean that his rules aren't important and you shouldn't respect them and you shouldn't follow them, because you should. But it just means that if you doubt them, if you're curious, if you might not just be not really sure about that rule, it's a bit dodgy, God is not going to completely abandon you. He's not going to be angry at you. He expects you to question them and to be curious about them, because that's in our nature. And I think it would be silly if you were to just read the Bible and just completely take all of the rules and all of the teachings 100%. For face value. Yeah. You need to go away. You need to read about them,
find out for yourself.
And find out for yourself. Yeah. Because if you don't do that, then your faith and your relationship with God won't develop, because you aren't really questioning.
Weak foundation.
Yeah.
Agreed.
You're not understanding him.
Yeah.
Kind of on that, I think something that is a really good example is if you look at, so they call him Doubting Thomas. Thomas, there's this passage in John where Jesus has been raised from the dead, and he greets his disciples raised from the dead, and Thomas is I don't really believe that you're really there. I'm not really sure. And Jesus doesn't get mad at him. He doesn't yell at him. He's not how dare you have doubts about me? How dare you not believe me? He shows him his hands with the scars and his feet, and is look, here is the evidence. Look, touch for yourself, see that it's real. And so I think that's I just think that's a really good example. When we doubt, God doesn't, like Phoebe said, we will question, everybody does at some point. And there's nothing, that's a great thing. And God's not going to abandon you or leave you alone, or you're not not a Christian. It's about going to him, and it's about what happens when you doubt. If you doubt and then give up on it, it's the giving up that I would say means you're not a Christian or whatever. It's not doubting in itself. There's nothing wrong with that, because it's a chance to grow, like Phoebe said, grow in your relationship with God.
Ever since we've started doing these videos, we've started doubting or questioning, maybe a better word, our beliefs, and is this actually true, or are we just kind of promoting something that might not even be true? And that doubting, I've been reading this book that says that doubting it's kind of a test. Will you trust God even when you can't see? Because faith is evidence of things unseen. So will we keep trusting and keep going for stuff even though it's not clear to us? So that's like, doubting is not a bad thing. It doesn't make you less of a Christian. It actually makes that relationship stronger, because you say, even though I can't see, I'm still going to trust, and that is even stronger faith, and that's a stronger relationship. Yeah.
A true test of faith is necessary for all relationships. You will do it to your friends, you do it to when your parents tell you to do this. You will rebel, you'll be like, why do I have to do this? Even though you know they know better than you do, but you still, just in your nature, you ask, why?
It might be slightly off topic, but I don't know. But there are some things in the Bible that you will do. That you do more than you do more than just question them. You actually disagree with them. So I kind of had that when we were studying in theology about the position of women in the Bible and things like that. And there are some things in the Bible that I actually do I disagree with. I more than doubt them. I think that they're fundamentally wrong. That, you know, like things like the man is the head of the woman and the woman should submit to her husband as she does to the Lord. Things like that. But also, what you have to do is you have to remember that the Bible is open to interpretation to an extent. So as, like, I don't know, maybe Charlotte might interpret one of those teachings in a completely different way as I do. Yeah. It doesn't mean that because Charlotte has interpreted that as that means women should all be submissive to their husbands and they are the weaker sex. Yeah. That doesn't mean that because she's interpreted it literally that she's correct, and that for me to disagree with that is me disagreeing with the teaching of God. Because actually, I would say that the other teachings and the other things that they say in the Bible, like what is it? There is no Gentile, Jew, Gentile,
free, male,
don't know,
female.
male, female. Basically, the idea that everybody's equal. I put that as like my evidence to say that actually I think that there is no, like, I'm not gonna, submit to a man. I'm not gonna do all that just as it says in the Bible, because there are other things in the Bible that say otherwise. And so, yes, doubting and questioning is one thing, but also disagreeing with some things, I think is okay if you think about it in a cultural context, and then you have other evidence in the Bible that kind of like backs up your point.
I think with that, what's really important most of all though is looking into it and not just seeing something and being like, I don't like it, I reject it. Like, I'm just going to ignore it, because that doesn't kind of solve any of the issues there. Yeah. What you're looking to do is look into it, be like, okay, what's the context here? What is he actually talking about? Why is he addressing these people at this time? Like Josh and Aaron did the video on like, why do we follow some rules in the Bible and not others? Like, the context is important. And so I think with stuff like doubts, that's the best thing you can do is go back to scripture, yes, and look at the context and find out not necessarily what does this mean to me, but like, what did this mean to them, and therefore what can I take from it? And that's kind of, I think, the best way to approach doubts.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
All right, lovely.
Nice.